A few years ago, I was in a meeting, one of those energy zapping corporate days where coffee had forgotten its primary responsibilities. There was a speaker that came in, and before his PowerPoint slides, he took a moment. He scanned the entire room and he said, I know you're exhausted. I know this is meeting number 6 for some of you, and I just want to say thank you for showing up. That was it. No performance, no clever hook. This simple observation changed the dynamics of the entire room, and everyone felt it because he didn't just speak, he observed. He paid attention to the obvious and addressed the pink elephant in the room that every speaker who preceded him ignored. He paid attention to the signs, the silence, the body language. He read the room before trying to speak into it, and in that one gesture, he built a bridge. That moment taught me something. When people feel seen, they stop guarding themselves and they start listening. Here's the truth. Most of us are so focused on what to say that we forget to ask, what is this person going through right now? What might they be carrying with them into this moment? And how do I want them to feel after this interaction? Once you've asked those questions, you realize that you're not talking to people, you're speaking to them. You meet them exactly where they are, not where you rehearsed your script. That, my friends, is oratorical intimacy. And it's one of the most underrated forms of communication power because it teaches you to stop speaking from your script and start speaking into someone's reality. The most powerful thing that you can do before you speak is to address the pink elephant in the room. Are they tired? Then maybe what they need isn't your brilliance, but brevity. Are they anxious? Then give them safety before rendering solutions. Because the better you understand the psychological state of your listener, the more intimate, powerful, and effective your words become. The most impactful communicators don't just deliver messages, they deliver moments of relief. You don't just throw words into the wind. To speak with impact, you must first learn to aim and channel your words intentionally. You don't aim in the dark. You take aim through the scope of understanding. You study. You observe the shape of your audience, their desires, their silence. You trace the silhouette of who they are and what they need. You slow your breath, steady your focus, and aim your words down the barrel. Because the more intimately you understand your audience, the more precisely you can pull the trigger on your words. And in that moment, you realize that every syllable becomes a sniper's bullet, every word becomes a weapon, and every sentence a strike with precision that hits so cleanly that it leaves clarity where there was once confusion. That's when you stop delivering speeches and start creating an experience. That one shift from what do I want to say to what do they need to feel changes everything. Because you can give the perfect answer, the smartest sentence, and still be completely out of sync with the person in front of you. But when your words respond to their state, when your language mirrors their moment, you stop delivering lines and start delivering relief. Oratorical intimacy isn't about saying more, it's about seeing more. And when people feel seen, they listen differently. It's not manipulation, that's care. That's the heartbeat of clarity. The truth is, you can memorize your lines and still miss your moment. But when you let how they feel lead what you say, that's when your words resonate. This is about knowing your audience so intimately that your voice feels like it's finishing a sentence that they didn't know how to say. That's what oratorical intimacy is: the ability to see before you speak, to feel the room before filling it with your voice. Oratorical intimacy is the heartbeat of powerful communication, and once you've mastered this, you'll need something to hold it all together. That's where this next tool comes in. And this second tool that I want to equip you with is the anchor sentence. It's simple, but It's surgical. Before I explain anything, before I unravel the story, the context, the emotion, I ask myself one question. Can I say all of this in one unforgettable sentence? You see, most of us think clarity is about volume, more explanation, more examples, more talk. But clarity doesn't come from adding more. It comes from subtracting everything that's not essential. It comes from knowing the core of your idea so well that you can whisper it in a sentence and still cause someone to stop in their tracks. Let me tell you something that I learned the hard way. If you can't say it simply, you probably don't understand it deeply. We all have this tendency to ramble, to keep stacking words, hoping that we'll stumble into meaning. But the more you say, the more your message gets diluted. It's like trying to season a meal with salt. If you add too much, it becomes overwhelming, and you end up leaving your audience mental taste buds dissatisfied. But one sentence, just one, if chosen with care, can do more than an entire speech. And that sentence becomes your anchor, your compass when the conversation drifts. It becomes your checkpoint when your thought starts running ahead of your mouth. And this is what keeps your ideas tethered in place so that you don't drift too far off course. Before I explain anything, before I get poetic, passionate, or persuasive, I stop and I ask myself, can I say all of this in one unforgettable sentence? It doesn't have to be clever. It just has to be clear and true. True enough to carry the weight of everything that you're about to say. So, before you write the email, give the speech, before you walk into that room, find that one sentence, the one that distills your thoughts, the one that clears the dark fog and shines a light to illuminate the dark corners of confusion. Once you find it, everything else falls into place. Because once your mind is anchored, your words stop wandering, and the people listening to you don't get lost in your language, they get carried by it. I want to show you what this looks like in action. A few months ago, I was helping a friend prepare for a job interview. She had all the credentials, a polished resume, a list of accomplishments that will make anyone proud, but when I asked her to explain what she actually does, she started listing tasks, buzzwords. All I could hear was blah, 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 generic phrases that you find in every LinkedIn profile. After a few minutes, I had to stop her. I said, imagine you had to explain what you do in one sentence to someone who doesn't work in your field. She paused. She thought heavily, she struggled, and finally said, I build systems that make people's jobs easier. And just like that, everything changed. That one sentence had clarity and weight. It made sense and it became the foundation for everything else that she said in our interview. Suddenly, her examples became tighter, her language became more confident because she wasn't rambling anymore. She was anchored. That is the power of the anchor sentence. It filters the noise and carves a path through the clutter. It reminds you that every sentence that you speak should be in service to that one clear idea, because when your ideas are anchored, your presence feels grounded. So, the next time that you speak, before you try to impress, persuade, or explain, ask yourself, what's my sentence? The one that, even if they forget everything else, would still echo after I'm gone. And maybe that's what real communication is. The ability to distill your thoughts and channel it with empathy. It's not about perfect grammar or polished delivery. It's about alignment between your mind, your mouth, and the person in front of you. Before we depart, I want to leave you on this note. I used to think that I had a communication problem, but what I really had was an organization problem. My thoughts were disorganized, tangled like wires in a drawer that I hadn't opened up in years, and every time I spoke, I could feel it. My mouth was moving, but meaning kept leaking out through the cracks. Talking to people felt like wandering through a maze, like the open worlds of Elden Ring. Sometimes I'll say too much, and other times I'll say too little. I always tried my hardest to connect with people, but I'll live feeling like I overshared or disappeared. And then I'll replay it all in my head. Why did I say it like that? Did I come off weird? Did I make sense? Did they even care about what I had to say? Most of us have this tendency to ramble, to keep stacking words, hoping that somehow something we say stumbles into meaning. I'm very familiar with these experiences because these moments became the first crack in a wall that I spent my whole life hiding behind. The wall of, I'm fine. This is just how I talk. If you've ever walked away from a conversation carrying the weight of unspoken clarity, remember that you're not alone. Now you have tools to help in precision, and let it be your standard. Let it be a lens to which your words can finally find their target. It has been a tremendous pleasure spending this time with you, my friends. Thank you for watching.